Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Business Beyond the Beach in partnership with our friends here at Miami Community Newspapers. My name is Brittnie Bassant, President and CEO of the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. And today I have with me the wonderful, amazing, incomparable Commissioner Vicki Lopez, our Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 5. Commissioner Lopez, thank you so much for being here.
So excited to be with you, Brittnie.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited for this show and all of the amazing things that we're going to talk about. But the first thing I want to know, we're just going to get it out of the way. I think a lot of people don't know, or maybe they have a lot of misconceptions, but what on earth is a county commissioner?
Yeah, well, our role is incredibly important. We are responsible for everything in the county that is outside of the municipalities. So we have 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. So the parts that are called unincorporated is where we have to provide all of our services. Within municipalities, and of course, District 5 only includes two municipalities, the City of Miami and the City of Miami Beach. In those areas, I'm responsible for things like environment and transportation, right? So, but the rest obviously falls within the municipalities. But a county commissioner is just overseeing the entire county, and that goes from water and sewer, solid waste, transportation, certainly housing, you name it that is going on, the environment, the protection of environment, water. That's our role, is to manage all of that in connection with our strong mayor, Mayor Living Cava. So it's a comprehensive role, but I think that all sounds very administrative. What I love in particular is a county commissioner needs to be on the ground. They need to understand the needs, the diverse needs of their community. I am one of 13 commissioners, and District 5 is really very special because it encompasses the mainland and the beach. And so my district includes things like Brickell, the roads, Little Havana, Shenandoah, Silver Bluff on the mainland, and then I have South Beach and parts of Mid Beach. So you cannot even compare one part to the other. And then the only part that I have that's unincorporated is Fisher Island. So very diverse, but a county commissioner must understand the individual needs of the individual communities that fall within their district.
And I love that you say that, because when you talk about, different levels of government, and if you're in an unincorporated part of Miami-Dade County, your county commissioner is your closest point of contact to an elected official. It is like the closest level of government to you. It's someone that lives in your neighborhood, knows the challenges that you're facing. And I think it's really important for, like you said, the commissioner to be intimately familiar with the areas that they serve and know what the residents face on a daily basis. So I want to talk about really your role with District 5. You mentioned there's 13 different districts. You talked a little bit about the different communities that you serve, but what does being present as a county commissioner, we talked about it a little bit, let's delve into it a little bit more. What does being present as a county commissioner mean to you?
So I've always felt that the people shouldn't come to the government. The government should come to the people. It's interesting. I've always had a district office where people don't need to come see me. They can if they want to, but I am in the neighborhoods every single day. And that is important for me because I want them, to know that I'm willing to come to them. I want to make it convenient for people to connect with their elected official, right? And one of the things that I've noticed is as I get out into the neighborhoods, I want people to know their voice matters. I think oftentimes people are disengaged. I think the role of a county commissioner to be present, to truly be present, is to be present, to get out into the neighborhoods, talk with people. One of the things that I love most is going to a senior building or going to a business and really understanding who they are, what do they need, and how do we work together. One of my greatest challenges is people want to call me commissioner, and I say, just call me Vicki, because quite frankly, we're in it together, Brittnie. And I think that levels the playing field a bit, right? Titles actually end up separating us and oftentimes putting us above people. I want to be right there with the people, and that's what I mean by when I say I'm fully present with my community.
I absolutely love that. And so you're new to this role in District 5. You're relatively newish, but you are not new by any means to public service. You have a career in public service. You've made it a point to dedicate your life to sort of serving the people. So what initially motivated you to go into that career? Because let's be honest, right? At times it can be very thankless and you can't make everyone happy and you're really putting yourself out there and you're doing it because you want to serve. But tell me more about what motivated you. Walk me through that career a little bit.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I have an accounting and an investment banking background. And most people think, that has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with politics because obviously the finance or the budgets of a local community are super important to providing services.
And correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, but Miami-Dade County, your budget's what, $11 billion?
12 or 13, depending on who you're asking.
Wow.
Yes. So I've been very fortunate to have a financial background, but I also my father was very involved in the community. He was an advocate for underserved people, sort of like as a hobby, as a habit. And growing up in a home where you saw that really made me realize that one person can make a difference. And, interestingly enough, I started my career as a county commissioner in Lee County, and only because there was a vacancy and members of the community came to talk to my dad and they encouraged me to run. It was wild because it was never on my radar. And yet the minute I started that campaign, I realized this is exactly what I love doing.
This was your purpose.
It was my purpose. I was on a mission from God. It felt that way, right? And it has been ever since. I've either been an elected official or I'd been an advocate for the voices of people who've either been silenced or underserved. And I have seen that one person can. I saw it in my dad. I see it in myself. But I also am a consensus builder, and I like to build community. And this role has been absolutely perfect for me. I think when you're in public service, if you're not leading with your heart, I think you won't be as successful because it really takes heart. You're right. It can be thankless some days. But if you can see that your connection with people is truly why you're doing this and being able to listen carefully and then go to work solving the problems, it's the best job. I always say I'm living my best life, and I truly believe it.
And you have the ability, and you can see it in real time, the impact that you can make and the change that you can make. And walk me through some of the roles. We talked about Lee County, but then you were also a state representative.
I was, in fact. I was a member. I was elected in November of 2022 to the Florida House, and I'd grown up in that process. And by that, I mean the legislative process at the statewide level. And I loved that work. I'm a legislator at heart. I like to look at a problem, know what the solution may be, and begin to work with people to find that solution and then implement that in legislation. So that role was very helpful because I was able to get a bird's eye view of what's going on in Florida, particularly post-pandemic. And those challenges have been great for the state, and they're equally great, if not more so, in Miami-Dade County.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about Miami-Dade County, and then we're going to talk about Miami-Dade County broadly, and then we're going to drill down to Miami Beach. But let's talk about some of your priorities for Miami-Dade County. I know there's quality of life, there's infrastructure, there's community resilience, but tell me about your priorities.
So I did a lot of the housing legislation when I was a member of the House, and I noticed, across the state we have an absolute affordability crisis. But in particular, we have a housing crisis. And what I'm doing now, and I hit the ground running, our county code for housing hasn't been updated in many, many years. So I've gathered together a stakeholder community, just like I did at the state, of advocates and people who are on the ground developing housing, because we must build more housing. We have 1,000 people moving to Florida every day, a lot of them coming to Miami.
Say that number again.
1,000 people a day moving to Florida. And although they're distributed around the state, a lot of them are coming.
There's a concentration.
There is.
Miami, Miami-Dade County, South Florida, if you will.
Yeah, there is, for sure. And so this is why the housing crisis exists, because we don't have enough inventory. So I'm having to find ways to incentivize developers who otherwise could build luxury. You build it, they will come. But what do we do with our workers, right? The people that actually provide the services for everyone. So I'm excited to put that as sort of on the forefront and to continue my good work. That has been a big one. Certainly water. Like my district is completely surrounded by water. So water quality, water safety, resilience about how do we take care of that resource is equally important to me. So, kind of balancing, because, development balanced against the resources and in the environmental impacts and the infrastructure are incredibly important. And so having to strike that balance is something that is very difficult to do, but I have managed to do it at the state level, and I think I can do it here.
And so while we're talking about striking a balance, now we're going to drill down to Miami Beach.
Yes.
When we look at Miami Beach, like you said, it's a very unique city.
So unique.
So unique, so uniquely beautiful. But you look at a city that has, a very strong resident population, a very strong resident voice, but it's also a global world-class tourism destination, world-class city. And so that's a balancing act in and of itself.
It
Tell
is.
me how you're addressing that.
There's a tension going on in Miami Beach, obviously, and I've noticed that since I've been on the ground. I'm on my Miami Beach almost every single day.
We know. We love seeing you.
Yeah, well,
it's great.
yes, it's exciting because I'm learning more and more about not only the people that live there. I believe Miami Beach is unique because of its engagement. The residents that live there are truly interested in every facet that goes on that impacts Miami Beach. But the tension that I'm seeing is that entire thing, like businesses wanting to move in, more housing wanting to be built, while there is a group of people, obviously, and it's understandable, want to keep the character of Miami Beach so that it isn't somehow turned into like New York City. There is a certain character about Miami Beach, and it is also in tension because if you remember, Miami Beach has a rich history. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, it has changed, right? And depending on who you talk to is the character they want to preserve. There's also the historic preservation that tells the story of the history of Miami Beach that needs to be preserved and protected. So there is that tension of how do we grow? How do we absorb people? How do we become the world-class city that now we're experiencing at the World Cup? And you're seeing it. Miami Beach is thriving in these last couple of weeks. It has been exciting to see. But it brings along the tension, right? Because there are businesses that want to grow. There are people that want to build housing. And naturally, there's this tension around, should it be high rises? Should it be low rises? What should it be? How do we do it? And then the more important thing is, how do we put housing for people who actually work in Miami Beach? Because right now, if you see the commute every morning and every evening, people who need to work on the beach but can't live on the beach because it's unaffordable.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of tension, but there's so much beauty. There's so much excitement around the beach. And I absolutely I'm so grateful to now be able to say I represent Miami Beach.
It's an incredible city to represent, and we're so grateful to have you. And I want to talk a little bit more. You talked about some of it, but let's really delve into some of your priorities for Miami Beach specifically.
Yeah.
And then I also know that we're going to talk about what you think the biggest pressure point facing the beach is right now. But let's talk about some of your priorities. We talked about affordability.
Yes.
I think that's a county-wide issue, but it definitely
is. But
rears its head in Miami Beach.
Yeah, in Miami Beach, I think what the commission is trying to do, and again, remember, I don't have a lot of jurisdiction in Miami Beach, but what I do have is a great working relationship with all of the commissioners and the mayor. And so they would like to find ways in which potentially we could revise state legislation that has preempted the commission from actually doing housing the way they think would be better suited for the community. So I've pledged to do that. I've pledged to say, look, let's take a look at where the sort of Live Local Act that I was the sponsor of doesn't fit Miami Beach, right? Because it's not a one size fits all. So that's an important part, is how do we allow Miami Beach to determine how to build housing on the beach that would be affordable to the workers and to those that want to live on the beach, right? Young professionals. So that's one priority that I have. The second one, of course, is amplifying businesses. And, obviously,
we love hearing that from the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Side.
And honestly, for me, it's been the pedestrianization of Ocean Drive. What we have seen, I managed to be able to close it for the World Cup. And what we have seen has been magnificent. I marvel at the number of videos that are sent to me showing all of the pedestrians on Ocean Drive and how the businesses are now flourishing as a result of it, right? What was interesting was that there was pushback from the state because they were afraid that if you close Ocean Drive, then the traffic would go on to Collins, which is a state road. But guess what we discovered? It actually hasn't. And you know why? Because the people that were driving through Ocean Drive on that one lane southbound are only coming to drive around and not to do business, because Collins, as a direct result of closing Ocean Drive today, is no worse than it was when it was one way southbound or even two ways. And that's because it was just traffic. It was never meant to stop and actually get a meal at a restaurant, stay at a hotel, shop at a shop. So I'm excited about what the future looks like if we completely close Ocean Drive and make it total pedestrianization. What will that look like for Miami Beach? It'll start to look like many of the promenades in Paris, in London, in Madrid, and across the world. So it's an exciting time for Miami Beach, and that, I believe, is one of my priorities as well. How do we increase business and still keep sort of the character of our beach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to agree with you. We went out on Ocean Drive for some of the World Cup celebrations, and it's just absolutely beautiful to see the energy that's
what it
in
is.
the city right now. And
I know. We've activated elevated Miami Beach in a different way.
Absolutely.
And one in which I think is very positive.
Very positive.
And I'm also I'm profiling small businesses on the beach.
Seen that.
I love
I've
this.
Seen that. So many of our members have been featured, and we love it. We love seeing the videos. Keep them coming, and we'll keep resharing and reposting. But I think that's amazing because, again, it just shows, and it just goes back to you. We said it earlier, being present as a commissioner, being boots on the ground, being there physically. And I love what you said about government going to the people versus them having to come to you. That accessibility, that connection, it's so important.
Yeah, but there's a dichotomy going on in Miami Beach. We have some of the poorest census tracts. We have 2 census tracts that are underserved on Miami Beach. So when people think Miami Beach, they think luxury. They think, listen, we have real people living with real problems.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that because people do not realize.
Oh my gosh, it's frustrating.
It is so incredibly frustrating because we do a lot of that work too at the chamber.
Do.
We do a lot of philanthropy. We're always trying to, help our community. A lot of times people are like, Miami Beach, it's wealth, it's luxury, it's opulence.
That's what everybody thinks.
And that exists, but there is an entirely different part of the city that no one sees. So talk to me about that, please, especially from your lens as a county commissioner.
So I have approximately 20 senior buildings where seniors that are on government assistance are living. They have, and they're mostly Spanish speaking. And what they have done is they've worked all their lives and now they find themselves unable to afford even food. Basics. So I'm doing food distributions. I had a very successful one last weekend.
Last Saturday.
Yes, 500 bags of great food. And I'm grateful for the partnership of FarmShare, obviously. But we're also going to visit elderly people in these buildings. Some of them are very lonely post-pandemic, of course. They have transportation problems. They don't get around to socialize much. So, one of the greatest senior centers is our Jewish Community Services in the heart of South Beach, where people can come from the other buildings and really spend time together and have fun. And so we're trying to bring a little diversion to those buildings, but also bring food. You'd be surprised to see how a person will take a single wrapped food, eat half of it, and save the other half for the evening. And that breaks my heart because we do have opulence, we do have luxury, we do have wealth, and yet we have communities that actually need our help on Miami Beach. And that too is a different tension, if you will, because we have a housing authority for the very sake that we need to have housing for people that can't afford to live, and that's for people that are on fixed income. So it's been a joy, but it also reflects the challenges that I'm facing representing them, and how can I solve some of those problems.
And I think you're doing a fantastic job of it, and we love seeing you there. And please keep it up, Commissioner, because it's so needed in our community and in our city. We've talked about a lot of pressure points, but there's one more that's facing the beach this summer, and especially this summer, and how it's impacting the residents and our tourism and quality of life and overall. So let's talk about sort of the biggest thing in Miami Beach right now, which is
sargassum. Yes. It's really, I think we're reaching critical emergency situation here. Sargassum is coming onto our shores in such droves that you cannot walk. And it's also impeding, unfortunately, our sea turtles. Yes. Who are nesting.
Yes.
They can't get over the sargassum. So I think one of the things that I'm trying to do, and certainly this is a bigger problem at Mid Beach than it is in South Beach, but in and of itself, it's become an absolute critical problem that we must try to figure out. And the county actually has the contract to pick up the sargassum. But there are so many challenges. You have to wait for the sea turtle if a sea turtle is moving, you cannot pick it up. If there's people on the beach, you cannot pick it up. So every morning we get cameras that are giving us the pictures and the videos of what it looks like. I can't imagine anyone enjoying our beach with the amount of sargassum. And then you see the mountains as the beach rakers bring it in. There are mountains. I remember going on Memorial Day weekend to 21st Street, the entrance to our beach. There was a mountain of sargassum there that then needs to be moved off the beach. This is a daily occurrence.
How often does the county do the sargassum raking?
We rake twice.
I knew it was
twice a day. And it's not enough.
Not enough.
So I'm now trying to figure out ways in which do we need to do it more. But you see, the problem is that you can't do it when there are people on the beach.
Absolutely.
And so once you rake, people hit the beach.
Absolutely.
And then it starts coming in again. And really, this is one of the worst years unfortunately for sargassum, and it's only getting worse. The tides and the winds and everything that contributes to sargassum is just getting worse. So then there's that environmental tension as well.
Absolutely.
So we've got to solve it because it is impacting, as you said, all of the areas that are important to our economic development, which is our tourism and the residents being able to enjoy the beaches, which is why they live there.
I don't envy your role in that one, because that's a big problem.
It's a tough one.
Yes,
it's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the chamber. So I've had the privilege of sort of knowing you and working with you in your previous roles and in my previous roles as well with other chambers of commerce. So we've kind of been we've been together throughout our journeys. But talk to me about why you think it's so. One of the first things, and I love this. I was so excited when you got appointed into the role as District 5. I remember I reached out and I'm like, "You're my commissioner. We're going to do amazing things together." And that has been true. And you have been a very present figure with the Chamber of Commerce and a strong supporter of the organization and by extension the businesses that we serve and the communities that we serve. So talk to me about why that is so important to you, because it's always been important to you in every role that you've held to be active and involved with the local Chamber of Commerce for the areas that you represent. So please explain. And
I think it's so critical. Yeah. I have always said that Chamber of Commerces are not just talking about business. They're talking about all of the issues that impact businesses.
Absolutely.
And I think people don't know that about, especially our Miami Beach Chamber. And under your leadership and that, of course, of the board, we're seeing the chamber become like part of the fiber of the community, right? You talk about housing. I myself was invited to be on a panel.
Back in March.
Yes, back in March. People actually have a misconception of the Miami Beach Chamber. It's not talking about business. It's talking about business and everything that impacts business, and whether it impedes it, it challenges it, or it grows it. And I think that you're such a leader in the community. You especially, Brittnie, who are there. You're everywhere. But that speaks to being present, right? You understand your philanthropic work. You understand that businesses, if you're trying to attract businesses, want to live in a community that has a high quality of life. Well, what does that mean? That means good education, good environmental policies, good business policies. So the chamber is really like, I always say it's the foundation of a community, believe it or not. And I've always felt that way. And you're right. I've always been highly involved in chambers. I think the Miami Beach Chamber is even more incredible. I love our breakfast with the cops,
Cafecitos with a cop.
Cafecitos with a cop. You even got involved in the importance of public safety for businesses,
Absolutely.
Right? Businesses can only thrive. It is.
Every single facet of the community is all interconnected.
And the chamber is leading. Our chamber on Miami Beach is a leader. And I'm so grateful to be able to have a partnership with you all and to lead with you all and to really participate and be present there, because I think it matters to have a person like myself be accessible to your membership as well, because I'm hearing real solutions from your members. Like this is a give and take type of relationship. It really is, because I'm listening, and I'm always listening to the front lines, people that are on the front lines, the businesses on the streets, the businesses that are employing my constituents, right? Like there's this sort of weaving in and out of my work with the chamber. And so I'm so grateful to be, first of all, grateful that you're there. Secondly, grateful that the board is so unbelievably engaged in the community.
And engaged.
Wow.
Completely.
Yeah, unbelievable. And the fact that you also, I've been a strong supporter of women, and you have a great women's circle going on. And honestly, for me, that's very important to see women entrepreneurs be able to set forth. For women, challenges are very different in business, and you all are addressing it, supporting it. I'm just very excited about the work of the chamber, and I will be there. Count on me to continue to be a strong partner of our chamber.
Absolutely. We know we can count on you for that. Thank you so much. And thank you for those kind words. I think I have the best role models to look up to, like you and so many others, that when you look at Miami-Dade County and you look at the incredible leaders in this community, it's really easy for amazing things to happen because we have the right people in place that want to work together to move that needle forward. And we always
so true.
A rising tide lifts all boats, and we have that here in our community right now. Across the county, you're seeing it. Everyone's working together because we want what's best for the region as a whole. I think we're getting ready to wrap up a little soon. This has been so much fun. I always love sitting down and talking with you.
I love seeing you as well.
So I think one of the really fun things, just to kind of make it a little personal, I'm going to ask you to get a little personal.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite things about Miami Beach? It could be a place, it could be a moment, it could be a feeling. It could be, what's something about the city that you really love that most people might not know?
I love the feeling that I get when I step on Miami Beach. It's so different. So different. It's what makes it so unique. And I think what I love about it is that everyone is welcome, no matter what walk of life you come
Absolutely.
from, which is very different in many parts of not only the county, the state, and the country.
Yeah.
So what I have experienced on Miami Beach,
you'll never feel out of place.
no, and not only that, you'll never feel unwelcomed. Like, it does not matter who you are, where you come from, how you live your life, who you love. Everybody is welcome. And there is that feeling on Miami Beach that is almost like if you want to be different than the norm, Miami Beach is home for you. Absolutely. It really is. And it's been one of the things that has really attracted me. It fits with me, right? It sort of fits who I am, because there's no set Vicki. Like, Vicki is a lot of different people and loves a lot of different people. And I think that when I step on Miami Beach, there's excitement, there's movement, there's activation, and there's beauty. And the beauty is not only in its surroundings, it's in the people that live and work there. I have to say that that's really different.
Thank you so much for just such an incredibly beautiful, real human sentiment that I think that a lot of people don't really connect to Miami Beach. But you know that, I know that, because we're there all the time and we see that part of the city. And I hope that so many others now get to experience that. My last question to all of my guests is always going to be very reflective. If you can go back at the beginning of your career or just to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give? And then to make it even more personal to you, Commissioner, what do you wish more people knew about a life in public service?
So I would tell my younger self, slow down. I think I went to college when I was 16. So you have to understand that I was on a warp path. And I always felt like I needed to learn to be present, fully present in the moment. I think I was always looking for, what do I need to do next? What do I have to do to get there? Really, honestly, what I've learned, and of course, age, wisdom, experience will tell you, you can slow down. You can trust the process.
It's so funny that you're saying to slow down, because, Commissioner, you have not slowed down.
No, it's true.
But you're also talking about being present, and you are a very present person. But you definitely haven't slowed down.
No, I haven't slowed down in that respect. I think I meant slow down in terms of where are you going next.
Right.
Enjoy the moment where you are. Give it 100%. Don't worry about the next step. I love now watching life unfold before me. I love it. I can't say I would have said that to my younger self would have said, that's crazy. Because I think it's counterintuitive to how we were all raised, right? Get an education, it's like you're on a success path. Yeah. If you just trust, and listen, I'm a very faithful person. So I, first of all, trust God. He knows what's best for me. I'm co-creating with my Creator. Oh. And all it takes is for you to say, here's what I want. I wake up in the morning and after I say, wow, I'm still here. Wow. Then I say, how can I serve thee? Truly, it's a life of service, but it can be slow and steady. There's no hurry to get anywhere, I guess is what I would tell my younger self. Be present in the moment, savor every moment, every interaction, and just watch it unfold in front of you. You'd be surprised how easy life can really be.
It's so funny because I was having dinner with a friend last night, and he was asking questions about my life, and I was like, I don't know, I guess we'll just kind of see what happens.
I think you should.
I'll just see how it goes. And he was like, when have you ever just allowed yourself to see how anything goes in, I don't know, my entire life? And we were laughing about it and joking, but I just think it's so funny to have that sentiment now, because I agree with you. Let life unfold.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean don't be ambitious or don't be goal oriented, but allow yourself to sort of let life unfold in that way. And I think that's
no. And I guess I would say this about, service, a life of service. It is so rewarding. Every day that I am interacting with one of my constituents reminds me why I make the sacrifices that are required in this position. I have a lot of love, unconditional love for people, and every day I get to experience that unconditional love coming back at me from people that say, a hug. A woman said to me, "My God, no one hugs anymore." And I said, it's critical that I hug, because I'm not only projecting my love for them, they're projecting it back for me. And they are the reason. My constituents, every last one of them, no matter who they are the reasons that I am inspired to continue a life of service. So I hope everyone gets to experience, if you only experience half of what I'm experiencing, you will be blessed.
And it'll be a very full life. And we see it in the way that you lead, Commissioner. So thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do for our community, for everything that you continue to do for our community. We are just so incredibly grateful to have you. And this has been an amazing show.
It has been. I've loved being with you, Brittnie, as usual. It's kind of like we're just visiting.
Yes, we're just catching up. We're just all friends catching up. So this has been another episode of Business Beyond the Beach in partnership with our friends here at Miami Community Newspapers. Again, thank you, Commissioner, for joining us. Thank you guys for watching, and tune in next week for another show.